I don't know how much I weigh exactly. My guess is somewhere.
I can guess. I used to work at a carnival.
John was a.
I'm gonna say.
Guess.
I'm gonna guess that you're at 207.
Oh, I think I'm higher than that.
Really?
I think I'm higher than that. I think.
Oh yeah, the love handles themselves are probably 15 pounds a piece, eh?
This is the Roundabout Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm John.
And I'm Jeremy, and today we're going to be talking about food. Why is it so easy to love food, and what are some of the crazy things that John and I have done and plan to do to work off some of those extra calories on this episode of the Roundabout Podcast.
Almost spilled the coffee to start the show today.
The dangers.
And that's a full cup of coffee too. Hot coffee.
Oh man.
In my nice little roundabout mug here. It could be yours for only $12.99.
Plus
shipping.
Four easy payments of $12.99. So.
Oh, Jeremy. So how do you think we're off? What kind of start do you think we're off to here? Do you think we're?
You know what's in my mind.
Do you think we're off to a hot start, or just kind of like, okay, we've got our toes in the in the pool here?
You know what? We're gonna find out. I think that our first episodes have been
pleasurable,
entertaining. We've gotten
something for the whole family.
Some good feedback from our beta testers.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to get this thing rolling. Today we're going to be talking about food, is what we
finally
came down to.
A subject I am very, very passionate about.
John's going to be taking the lead on this bad boy.
I'll do the talking on this one.
I got it. Okay.
Come on, bring it. Say it.
This thing. All right. So John just asked how the first few episodes went, and I just looked at some of the video for the first time from our first few episodes, from the first episode, and I'm a pretty strong guy. I feel like I'm a pretty muscular guy, and I also know that I've always been a little chubby. I've never been like slim and trim. I think the best was the best shape that I've been. I mean, without going back to like your bodybuilding right
days.
Out of high school,
your bodybuilding,
my bodybuilding days.
Look it up. Google it.
Last two summers ago, I was in really. I dropped below 200 pounds, and that was pretty trim for me.
You had a sickness though, didn't you? Or no?
It was
you intentionally did
parasite. Okay, but let me just say this though, that I looked at the first few minutes of the first episode, and I'm like, what is like? I know I got some love handles, man, but I was like, I thought the table cut that off in the frame.
It's baby fat.
It did. Oh yeah, it's baby.
How old do you have to be before baby fat is not
70,
no longer
74?
Okay, so you're still good. That's baby fat.
Still baby fat. So we're gonna talk about food
and fat
today.
Fatty foods.
You know, that's which
I do not like, by the way. Like I don't like fat. Like talking about meat now. Let's start out with meat.
Oh.
A good cut of meat.
Oh.
I do not like fat on there. I'm lean all the way. You like that fat, eh?
Marbly ribeye. There is this is all of our, let's face it, all of our episodes, John, are going to be loosey goosey. Like we tried to pretend like the first episode was loosey goosey. You know,
they haven't seen or heard anything
today.
Yet.
There's a few points of in the realm of food that we're gonna hit, but dude, steak. Okay, so we're just right out of the gate, just talking about fat in foods. Okay, fat is flavor, man.
It's flavor, but texture is what I have the issue with.
Well, okay. Okay, so to start this out, what is your favorite steak? What is your favorite cut of beef?
My favorite cut
all
of beef.
All American.
I'm a filet guy through and through.
Okay, so I can appreciate a good filet. Okay, you put a steak in front of me, I don't care what cut it is.
You will fight somebody for a steak.
I will.
You will fight an old lady for a steak, a good steak. I've seen it.
Here's the confession. I'm not ashamed of this though. This is not confession like I'm ashamed of it. This is just I'm just letting you know. I will eat raw beef. I've eaten just raw steak, and it's good, man.
Raw beef.
Yeah, I mean not like a whole steak.
Good.
Not
Thank
like
you
a
for
whole steak.
clarifying that.
I
'cause
just-
that's
I-
what I envisioned.
I kill a cow and I just run up and just tear mouthfuls out. But when if I'm like getting ready to prepare a steak on the grill or something like that, sometimes just that raw piece of beef is like
slap it.
there's something just primal in it.
Yeah, but you like that. But you said you like eating raw meat.
Okay.
This is really taking a goofy turn already. Am I not following correctly?
I don't.
I'm
I
hung
don't.
up on the raw meat.
I
thing.
don't prefer just raw beef, but it's good. It's good.
Really?
Oh man, John.
Never had it. I don't have any desire for
dude.
that.
So my ideal steak. I'm a ribeye guy. So if we haven't gathered that from the enjoyment
Bloody
of
ribeye.
fat,
Bloody ribeye.
but like medium rare. But I definitely will like lean more on the rare side, man.
I got a question. Why are some people,
Are you-
particularly men,
Yeah.
get angry at people that
I knew
like
you were
their
gonna bring
meat
that up.
well? I got yelled at by somebody one time.
We
for
won't
that.
say who it was.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the name. But they were genuinely mad at me, even though I ate the whole thing.
John, I think that there is a
Did he have grounds for that?
no.
Okay, thank you.
I think that there's something. It's just ingrained. It's a cultural thing that like, oh, you're not a real man. Now, granted, I prefer like medium rare. I don't want meat that's cooked medium
Like shoe leather.
well or
Yeah.
anything like that. But but I feel like if you have to eat it how you want.
That's how I look at it, right?
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like coffee. I've talked about so. I've been did we bring this up? I can't remember if we brought this up before or not. But I've been called a coffee snob because I prefer things. We were just talking about that upstairs.
Yeah.
Like John doesn't mind coffee that's a little older. You know.
You know what's weird is I'm very impartial.
Yeah.
To like specific, like if it's coffee, I'll drink it. I don't. Rarely have I been like, oh, this is disgusting.
Mm-hmm. But I have a preference where I like fresh coffee and I like it freshly ground. I like it freshly brewed.
Oh, excuse me.
You know,
Wow.
everybody standards, John.
Yeah.
Standards, you know. But you drink the coffee you like. So the steak that you like, you eat. If you don't like it to have as much fat, then I mean, like I said, filet.
As long as you're gonna eat it.
Yeah, filet's good, man. But I just the flavor that the fat gives like a good ribeye. And now here's the thing: I've had ribeye that is grizzly, like
Yeah, see,
the
I can't.
fat is just it's not.
I
It's
can't
not
deal with
enjoyable.
it. I can't deal with that.
But I've had ribeyes where the fat is like melts in your mouth like butter.
Did you ever have?
Like
how do you pronounce
butter.
it? Wagyu?
No.
Wagyu?
I don't even know. That's out of my range.
Did you ever see it?
That's out of my
Like I saw on
jurisdiction.
Facebook that somebody posted a video and it
Wagyu.
looked like a chunk of fat to me.
And that's when I see that now. I forget who I talked to, but they said that they had it, and it doesn't. It's not like that. That's what because that's what I think too. When I look at
What do you mean it's not like that in taste and texture?
it's not. The texture is not overly fatty.
Okay.
From what somebody said, but that's the impression I got when I looked at that Wagyu
Didn't it
beef.
look
I'm
like
like,
yeah.
that's too much. Like
Yeah.
I want meaty texture
Yeah.
when I eat it, but good marbling though, you know, when it's got like if it's like good marbling and it's not grizzly, then that marbling is just like
There's some people that actually like the grizzled type fat though too.
Mm.
I've seen people like, oh, I'll eat that.
yeah. Oh man,
That's nasty.
yeah. It's well Mo that we just had on the show.
She likes grizzle. I didn't know that.
She only eats grizzle.
Really?
She doesn't even eat the meat part of
Wow.
it. No, she was always a filet gal
Yeah.
for
You
her.
can't go wrong with filet mignon though.
No, but she said that her husband John cooked up a ribeye. They got a part of a cow. You know you're in America when you're like, hey, you want to share a cow?
Want to go half on a cow?
And she said that John cooked up a ribeye for her, and
she liked it.
She's a convert, man.
Really?
She always was filet, and now she said she thinks she likes ribeye better than the
Wow.
filet, man. But dude, so how about a little A1 sauce on that steak or what?
You know what? I used to be all about that.
Really?
Well, I've graduated into more of a classy meat eater. I used to be, I need it well done. Need it cooked well done.
A1 sauce was
You need
created
it-
during the Civil War, John.
Oh, I never knew that.
You know, North and South are fighting each other. Somebody said, you know what we need? We need a
good
nice meat
steak
sauce.
But I used to use A1 because I would like my meat well done, and it would be kind of dry.
You needed that.
I needed it. But I thought maybe my parents' cooking was just bad. I don't know, because that's how they made the food, so that's how I've kind of liked it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But we always had A1 sauce, and we even used Worcestershire.
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 Worcestershire. What,
Is that 4 steaks?
Worcestershire's? It's kind of a sauce that you can use for a lot of
Okay.
things.
Is it?
A
Do
lot.
people commonly use it on steaks? My family always did.
I don't know.
Oh, well, we did. Anyhow, we would use those sauces all the time.
Was that you sure?
No, my palm scraped the table or
squeaky palms.
squeaked the table.
Um,
But we always used to use sauce. But the last couple of years, I've liked steak and meat a little bit more rare. A little bit more.
Oh,
Like I think I normally get a steak medium well now.
yeah.
So it's not well done, but it's medium well.
Try a medium
So,
next time.
I might venture into that. But when a steak is cooked like that and it's tender and it's juicy or whatever, I hate using that word juicy, but it's juicy. You don't need the sauce. And so the last couple of years I really haven't relied on the sauce as much as I used to. I'm off the sauce.
He's off the sauce now. No, I'm like a nice hot grill. Keep the meat cold.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is a common misconception. People think like you got to take it out and get it up to temperature a little bit. You want to do that with like if you're grilling pork or chicken or something like that. Let the internal temperature. This is where this is a geeky science thing comes in. Okay, but like something like that where you want to make sure that the meat's done. Let the temperature come up a little bit before you grill it. But beef, where you're like, eat it rare if you want.
Yeah.
Keep it cold. Keep it in the fridge. Throw it on, and then that way the inside for those of us who like it medium rare, because in that way you can get the outside, you can get a good char, you can get it cooked and stuff like that.
It'll
and the inside
slow
still,
down the cooking
Yep.
of the middle.
Yep.
That's brilliant.
And
I never
so-
knew that.
So I'm like get a good char on the outside, get that, and then the inside is.
And then what about people will is it souffle? Or sous
vide.
sous vide. That's interesting.
That's above my class also.
Yeah.
Tyler Bessa, a friend of ours. I called him out first and last name, Tyler Bessa. I'm talking to you. That's
Put him on blast.
Yeah. Facebook search him,
Mr.
friend him. Friend
Mr.
request him. Everybody who is watching this right now, friend request Tyler Bessa.
Mr. Sous Vide.
We call him Mr. Mate.
Yeah.
We don't really call him Mr. Meat. He does some of the best smoked meats that I have ever had. And he also does the best chicken wings I've ever had. He double fries them.
I had his ribs once and he burnt them.
Did he? Is that
he did.
legit?
Oh yeah.
Well, you know,
To
Thomas Edison, light bulb. You know that cliche. You know, you gotta.
To this day, I tease him about the burnt offerings that he gave me.
The Levite
Yeah,
priest.
and he was kind of talking it up too, leading up to it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna make you'll like my ribs; they're really good." And he burned them. Ask him about it. It was pretty funny.
All right, Tyler.
But yeah,
Disappointing.
so yeah, meat. You can't go wrong with meat. What are some of the other foods you dig?
Before we move on to that,
You're still on meat.
I would agree.
How does this tie into your love handles? That's what I want to know.
I eat
Can
too
we
much.
bring it back to that?
I eat too much.
There's
okay?
a hunk of meat, huh?
So
Nice-
yeah.
Hey, nice marble.
Well, okay. All right. Let me first say
Yeah.
the one meat that I didn't like as a kid was pork roast.
Mine was bologna.
Oh, dude.
That's disgusting.
Bologna sandwich with some
Ugh.
ketchup all day. Smiley face, ketchup, smiley face.
And then
Boom.
my dad would. It's basically a giant sliced hot dog.
It is.
It's nasty.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
then my dad would cook it, like fry it. It's like, oh.
like ring bologna?
Like, make
Fri-
it worse.
Like fried ring bologna or just
No,
a
bologna,
slice of
like
bologna?
Oscar Mayer bologna. He'd fry it. Fried bologna. That's a thing. Fried bologna sandwiches.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I never had that.
Yeah, try that.
We were fluffy, no nutrition white bread. Butter.
Bleached white bread.
Seriously, exactly.
Look like a
Butter-
sponge.
Butter on one slab, put that bologna on there, and a smiley face ketchup.
And that's why you have love handles.
And
my
that's
friend.
thanks,
Problem solved.
Thanks.
Cut that stuff out.
thanks, Mom.
Shifting gears though with food, my weakness is sweets. I'm a big sweets guy.
Well-
I like ice cream. I like pastries.
And that is 100% my downfall is cookies, loaves, brownies.
Anything in loaf form.
The loaf will get you every time. Next T-shirt, the loaf will get you every time.
Brownies are good,
dude. Oh my goodness, the bread pudding. We went to. Is this therapeutic? When you talk about food?
This is very
help weight loss.
Yeah. It's actually making me hungry. Where's Raven's bread pudding right now? That is good.
Oh my goodness, her bread pudding. So we just had a couple's gathering soiree this past weekend, and to celebrate Valentine's Day, kind of, but not really. But just once a year, our friends put this on, Marie and Mo, and pulled pork. Speaking of smoked meats, pulled pork, coleslaw, and then bread pudding, dude. And bread pudding is just like.
I'm embarrassed to say I didn't even see the bread pudding there, and I'm bummed I didn't have it.
It was over on the other table.
It was over there.
Yeah.
I was so full by then. I think I was.
I see, and that's what I said. So this is okay. So I try to be smart with what I eat. I do intermittent fasting. Maybe we'll talk about that someday. I do intermittent fasting 2 or 3 times a week. I would be,
and I don't.
I would be a wreck right now if I didn't do that, man, because I haven't worked out in like a month.
I want to do that, and I'm hoping that you can help me with that.
I'll help you.
Thank you.
I'll help you. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
Off mic.
I'll coach you on mic. You know what? This is something that I thought about. You guys are hearing about this right now, live on air. Not live, but as we record.
Live for us.
Live for us. I want to do like a challenge with our listeners. Not a challenge for them as much for us, but to put it out there on the line. Put it out there on the line that like a fitness weight loss challenge for us.
Like me versus you.
We could do that.
You're on.
You'll kick my butt.
I'll kick your butt
in the short term, maybe.
Short term, I will.
But in the
long term, yeah, no.
I
struggle with that. I yo-yo all the time. I do so good when I commit, but I just don't sustain it, dude. It's frustrating to me.
I just gotta. I need to stay consistent too. Once I get in the groove, but like all this, whatever. Well, it's just hard. So, but food. I enjoy exercise. I enjoy I'm not like an obsessive like how we talked in the other thing.
Yeah.
I'm not obsessive in that way, but I thoroughly enjoy like weight training and stuff.
See, I'm not a big weight trainer. I like cardio. I love running. We have an elliptical. I use that. Elliptical.
Yeah.
Wow. You can get a workout on that.
Well,
totally underestimated that.
I'm going to get a rower. Did you try that?
Row your boat.
Oh, I thought you were going to keep going. I was going to go with it.
Merrily. Michael McDonald, Saturday Night. See how my brain works? It just. You said row.
Row.
Yeah, should we do it? Can we harmonize that? Should we try it?
Harmonize.
Oh, I thought we harmonized.
It's just in a round.
Oh no, you're right. It is delayed or whatever. We'll try that later.
No, we'll try it right now.
Row your boat gently down the stream.
Row your boat
life is but a dream. Row your boat. Okay. If you didn't see that episode, you probably think we're totally nuts right now. But check it out.
You might
Saturday Night
anyway
Live.
Think we're idiots.
Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake, right?
Yeah. JT.
I thought it was hilarious.
JT.
I ran across the other day the cowbell one with Will Ferrell. That one just cracked me up, man. Who's the actor that's in that? He comes out and he's like
Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken, yeah.
Babies.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're off course.
So
it's like really off course. So I got a rower. No, I don't have a rower. I'm going to get a rower.
Oh, no.
I'm living
have one now.
fantasy life right now. But that's like I did that for a minute and a half at Matt and Bree's house, and I was dying.
Really?
A minute and a half. It apparently rowers work like 84% of your muscles on your body at a time.
84%
or 87% or 86%.
85. Really? That much?
Or 85%.
That much of your body?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because of the chain of how you're moving and
stuff.
I
guess you're moving your legs. You got your abdomen moving, your arms,
back,
your back,
shoulder,
your head.
Your head. You're knocking your cranium. Gets such a workout.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's man, it's like. So we went off of food and talked about because the natural thing that with food is like, all right, I'm fat, so here we go.
I need to start working out.
I want to tell a story. When I was in high school, and I was a young lad, 15 or 16, probably 16. It was 16 because you had to be 16 years old to be a lifeguard at Milwaukee County Parks. Okay. So I'm like, but it was winter time when they were doing lifeguard tryouts, training, like you would try out to be a lifeguard, and then that way they would have their lifeguards prepared for summer. Well, I'm 16, and I'm like, yeah, I could do that. I'm in decent shape. At 16, I was like, whatever. I probably still have my chubs, my love handles a little bit, but I was in good shape. So I'm gonna be a lifeguard. I can swim.
Yeah, no problem.
Piece of cake.
Yeah,
I'm strong. I could swim. What else do you
save
need?
anybody.
Well, headed down to Pulaski High School. They have an indoor pool there, and they're like, okay, we just got to make sure that you can swim this distance. So swim the length of the pool and back, and do that probably twice.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't remember how
It's a
many
breeze.
meters that was or whatever.
No problem.
Well, I don't know if it was the fact that it was winter and it was cold, and then I went into this hot and humid pool and exerted myself, just like no warm up or anything, or just the fact that my cardio game was not on point, or what. But I'm like, I can do this. I can swim. I know how to swim. I go swimming. I know how to swim. So I do this. First of all,
they had to save you.
oh my goodness. First of all, they didn't have to
Help!
They didn't have to save me, but I did. Okay, so first of all, I'm swimming, and I'm like, at some point in the length of my swim, I'm like, all sense of direction just went out the window because I'm just like, keep going.
You're
don't
zigzagging
stop.
in the pool.
I'm like veering off into the sunset here.
You know, the person who was it a female or male? It was.
Oh, there's all kinds of people there.
No, but I mean the person who was like hiring.
No recollection whatsoever.
Okay. Whoever it was.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they were sitting there like, what is
going on with this kid?
What is it? What is this kid doing?
So I start veering off, and I get it done. I do the length that I need to do. I can't even finish the story. I do the lengths that I need to do, and get out of the pool, and I'm assuming that
you aced it.
No, John, I'm serious. This is like ridiculous. I'm assuming that I was supposed to probably hang out, talk to somebody.
When do I start?
John, I got out of the pool. I went directly to the locker room, and I'm like, nope. I got dressed. I just bailed completely. I bailed. I'm like, I'm dying. I felt like I was.
Was there like silence? When you got out of the pool? Or was everybody
it wasn't just me. It was like multiple people doing it. So
okay. They weren't all watching you. Oh, that would have been even more beautiful.
I'm sure some people were watching me, but dude, seriously, I'm like, they probably were like, where's he going?
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was going to puke. I felt like I was going to puke, or I don't know what.
So you never did get to lifeguard.
I did. Needless to say, I was never a lifeguard in the Milwaukee County Park system. No, I'm like, change my clothes, go, get out, go home. And so anyway, no, as far as my cardio goes, so this fast forward now.
Yeah.
1 minute 30 seconds on that rower a few weeks ago.
Did you have a flashback to the lifeguard tryout?
I did.
Nuh-uh.
Anytime that happens, I've tried CrossFit a few times. Matt Thundercloud had me doing P90X, which I went through most of that with him. And there was this one called plyo side. Plyo as in jumping, side as in kill yourself.
Like suicide.
Yeah. And
wow.
You seriously, I mean, like, I'm just like, like
really?
I there was at least 2 instances when I worked out with Matt doing those workouts where I'm like, I gotta go to your bathroom because I'm gonna either puke or something else.
Did you ever look around and go, why is nobody else feeling this sensation right now?
I just know cardio. It's the classic, like, what you hate doing is probably what you need to do, and that's what cardio is for me. So I'm gonna get a rower when I get my home gym stuff set up. Once we sell the old house. But oh my goodness, John.
You know, speaking of fitness, I did. Crystal and I, my wife and I, did. Did I ever tell you this? We did that 9 rounds for a little while.
Yeah.
And I'll bet if somebody like Matt or somebody who's in shape, we keep using Matt as an example, but
Matt is our fittest friend.
Yeah, he's our fittest friend. Well, Chris Aiello too.
Oh yeah, he's our strongest friend.
And Mike Hero. Anyhow, what? Oh, I love you, Mike.
Shout out.
I love you, Mike
Hero.
Shout out. Yeah. So we did this 9 rounds, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of legit. You know, you're at every station there. I felt like, for me, I mean, they get you all pumped too because you get these boxing gloves and stuff. So you're like,
I'm gonna punch some.
I'm training for a fight.
Yeah.
You know? And then next thing I know, the room is full of like women in their 60s, and so I'm like, okay, this really isn't that tough. But anyhow, so you have to do these 9 stations, and I forgot what it's called, but you'd probably know the term of what the actual movement or exercise is called. But you have to, like, is it like you squat and then stomach to the floor? I forgot.
Burpees?
Yeah, burpee. I think that's what it was, a burpee. I always want to say scrunchy.
Burpees will kill you, man.
Well,
burpees will kick your butt.
I'm like exhausted. I'm on station 7. Like, there's 2 more to go, and I'm ready to like puke, you know?
Yep.
And Crystal's in the station right next to me, and it was so funny. The instructor comes over, and she goes, I forgot what she gave me, but she said I had to hold out my arms and hold these. I forgot what they were, if they were dumbbells or what they were, but I had to hold my arms out for, I think each station was 2 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Kettlebells were
No,
they?
it might have been 3 minutes. No, because 9 stations, 27. Yeah, so it was around 3 minutes, I think you had to, each station. So I'm at this like 7th station. I'm like 2 stations away, and she comes over and yells out loud. She goes, all right, John, you're going to hold these up, and if your arms drop, everybody here is doing like 3 burpees or something like that. And again, there's a room full of older ladies, and I'm like the guy, right? Now, I can't drop these things.
Mm-hmm.
You
Your
might as well just hand in your man card.
burning.
Yeah. So I made it, but I had that delirium or deliriousness that you just explained, where you're just like, the room was spinning. You can ask Crystal about this. After the thing was over, I sat down and I almost went through the window. Like, I tripped and like I just had no energy that I stopped myself short of the window. But I don't know why I told that story, other than to say that I know that feeling of
Being
like
just completely worn down.
But just imagine the pressure that was on my shoulders. This room full of ladies and they were managing well.
You might have saved a life that day.
I may
John.
have saved a life that day.
At least
That's what I was
one.
getting at. That's what I was getting
John,
at.
hey, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
But
Firefighters, Marines,
yeah,
John,
9 rounds.
saving old
Station
ladies.
7. Station 7.
Yep.
2017. Hey, that'd be funny. One day I'll be in the store. I'll be like, John, 9 rounds? 2017, Station 7. You kept your arms up.
My mother.
Thank you, my mother. If it wasn't for you,
Yep.
no. But it was a fun exercise. I liked. It was a different challenge, different style.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't, like most things, couldn't stay committed to it, and it was pretty pathetic because then a month later I kind of dropped off, and then next thing I know, I'm going into like the Cousins next door to it.
Well, this is so
Cousins restaurant.
dude, food is so good, man.
It is.
This is the
We need it.
trade-off. This is the trade-off of I'm convinced. I'm convinced. So some people will go the extreme of like food is fuel, and it's just straight like count macros, don't enjoy anything. Taste is
Just put it all in a blender and drink it.
Yeah, and
I know people like that.
and it's just to stay alive and whatever. I'm convinced that the Lord wants us to enjoy food. Otherwise, why would we enjoy any food? But then there's that moderation. There's like not being a glutton, which
that's
is
where I struggle. And I'm confessing that. I'm admitting that. I'm not proud of it. But yeah, I've always had a hard... Well, you know what for me, though, Jeremy, is that as I get older, I'm not as active as I was. When you're young, you're going playing pickup football games, basketball games, hanging out with your buddy, doing physical activity, As you get older, that just the way life goes, that tends to slow down. You're doing more, more work and whatnot. And if you have an office job, you're not doing much physical activity.
Mm-hmm.
But as you get older, I've always said this, like that's the one thing I really look forward to, like grabbing something to eat with my wife or sitting home and having a nice dinner.
Or us going out before.
Or, yeah, which we do. We make a habit of before every episode here, we usually go grab something yummy to eat. But, yeah, I agree with you. God wants us to enjoy food, but like anything, it can be abused. It can be,
Yeah, and so I mean, moderation is just one of those things where it's just like, I don't know how you want to say it. I've convinced myself, or if it just is a matter of fact, like I feel like I appreciate these foods more if I don't eat them as often or eat as much of them. I still know for a fact that I could eat a lot less of certain things. Like we were talking with Mo the other day about, a bad weekend, and I feel like I let myself get away with too much on the weekends because I'm like, it's the weekend. I'm calorie cycling or whatever, eating a little bit more just so that my metabolism doesn't slow down during the week. But to some extent, you still have to watch it, and so like I've got this good in some ways, bad in other ways tradition of like Saturday mornings I'll go and get donuts for my family. Like we'll that's like the treat, the treat for Saturday mornings, and the kids get excited about that.
Where do you get donuts from?
Pick and Save, or now Metro Market. Metro Market.
You don't go to like Reeby's or any fancy?
I
Krispy Kreme, any of those? Dunkin'?
No.
You don't like Dunkin' Donuts?
No, it's all fluff, man. Krispy Kreme is all fluff, but it's like all fluff in the best possible way. Yeah. I would not make a habit of going to Krispy Kreme just because I know that's like,
you don't want to kill your family.
Yes, yeah. But I'm sure that these other ones are not that much better for them. But oh man,
what a good man.
Metro Market, Pick and Save, whatever you want to call it. They just got this is good, man.
Yeah, they got good donuts.
Chocolate Persians.
Ooh, I like the crullers. Those are always good.
Oh yeah, just like a coffee dunker.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's something about them.
We get these.
I like the Bavarian cream ones too a lot.
Oh yeah,
those are really good.
They didn't have those. My daughter asked for one of those this weekend, and so did Raven, and they didn't have them.
Yeah.
Oh. We get the croissants. The
croissant.
The croissant.
Croissant. That sounded kind of Chinese.
The
croissant.
Croissant. With oh great. Here we now we're racist.
No, I'm not
already.
It sounded Chinese the way you said croissant.
Yeah. Kung fu.
Yeah.
It sounded kung fu.
Kung fu.
We get these croissants with that like either the glazed ones or the sugared ones.
Ooh, like powdered sugar.
Yeah,
those are good. But you said so.
Every time we start talking about food, I feel like, man, we are fatties, dude. It is.
We're just
bad.
Yeah, it's just a certain energy when we talk about it. But you were saying though that like on the weekends you got in this habit of kind of like
and so which I don't think it's a bad thing, but again, it needs to be tempered.
Controlled and
This weekend we went to that party on Friday night.
Yeah,
the couples party. Saturday was. I did get donuts for the family on Saturday morning. And then Sunday, we had my parents over for my dad's birthday party.
Yeah, but see, those types of things happen.
I know, but you know what? You still got to take those into account.
True. And it doesn't mean you have to, like, gorge at every single event. But I've had situations where I'm, like, trying to eat better. And so, like you, I'll have a couple events that take place. And it kind of bums you out because you're trying to, like, really get it under control. And then you're like, not that, like you said, or like we just said, you can't. It's not that you can't go to these and eat moderately, or even avoid it. Even avoid it entirely. You could do that, but just when you initially start trying to cut this stuff out, and you're hit with those events, it's kind of like, oh man, why do I got to deal with all these temptations right off the bat when I'm trying to peel these things back?
Yeah.
But yeah, those things happen. But what I found is that I'll just get my train of thought will be, okay, I'm going to go there. I'm going to restrain a little bit, but I'm not going to totally cut myself off. But you know what? I'm going to punish myself
later on.
And you make up for it. And I that's just how I operate.
Yeah,
I've done it. And I mean, not to the point where I'm like,
call
911.
Whipping yourself.
Yeah. But I'll, if I normally do a 30-minute workout, maybe I'll go 45 minutes. And I'll remind myself, hey, you ate pretty eat that good this
Right.
week, and that's that balance, you
Yeah.
know, that you're talking about. It's that.
Yeah. I try. I do try it. Like we talked about intermittent fasting briefly, and I'll try to, if I know that something's coming up like that, like a weekend where there's a lot going on or something.
Yeah.
I'll try to make sure like, oh, maybe I'll do 3 days this week instead of 2. Try to work it in however I can, or I'll skip lunch to be able to balance that out. I don't try to go too extreme, but I definitely feel like there needs to be a give and take, of the balance,
One of my biggest mistakes I make, and my wife pointed this out to me. She goes, this sounds really gluttonous when I say this, but she's like, rather than have my stomach grumbling again, I can stop drinking coffee during the podcast. Or is that you too?
Yeah.
Anyhow, she said, don't have 2 plates. Have 1 plate of food, and then wait.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever hear this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I never thought of this. She's like, wait,
You
because I'm a quick eater.
Oh yeah.
So I'll eat a plate and still feel kind of hungry. So she told me, wait 5-10 minutes. And sure enough, when I've done that, I'm like, you're right. It took a while for that to catch up.
Well, that was the other at that part. Excuse me. At the party the other night, I wanted more of that pulled pork. But I ate that 1 plate, and I'm like,
you did keep walking around by it. I noticed that. You were just kind of like a shark in the
So,
water.
did I tell you about Tim? Okay, so our buddy Tim was in line in front of us. Tim is an eater. He's not a big guy.
No.
He's not at all a big guy, but he is an eater. And he's in line in front of me, and there's like all these sides. There's the pulled pork and the coleslaw, and then there's like cornbread, and there's all these different sides that people brought. And Tim's like, he's like drooling over this stuff, man. He's super excited.
Yeah.
And the food was set up on this counter that was like on a right angle. So there was like a corner, and then more food along the other edge of the right angle. And so we're going down the straightaway here, and we're picking up food. And I'm a very, like, these kind of things, like, I'm very picky with my sides because I'm like, I don't want to fill up on sides. So I'm like, nope, hit the pork, hit the coleslaw, little cornbread. I got some Brussels sprouts, and I'm like, I'm good. I'm not getting all this other stuff. Well, Tim gets to the end of the corner, and
You ran out of plate space.
he ran out of plate space. He looks at it, and there was like an audible, like not just kind of audible, like he made a sound of disappointment, frustration, anger, that he couldn't
heartbreak.
that he couldn't fit more on his plate. He looked and he's like, and like then turned and took his plate. And I'm like, you're mad because you can't fit more on your plate. He's like, yeah, but so I'm sure he made a second trip,
I saw that plate he made too. Holy cow,
dude. And
that thing was heaping. Tim, attaboy.
Attaboy. It's my boy.
Hey, to his defense, they were smaller plates though. You know what's funny about that? Did I ever tell you about that? I read an article recently that showed how portion sizes have changed over the years.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like it was crazy. I remember it was like the 50s. It showed like a dinner plate was like, I'm gonna say 6 to 8 inches was a dinner plate.
Yep.
That's a dessert plate now. I mean, dinner plates are like.
This is a real thing. What you're saying right now is a real thing. There's different reasons for that. First of all, is the actual plate size where it comes into play, where you can't fit more than a certain amount on a plate.
Yeah.
Although some people might try,
Well, then you
heat it up.
stack.
Right. That's what I was saying. But so there's the actual plate size, but there is a psychological thing. This is something we did years ago, where I said we're going to get, because we had plates that
You
were
had
like,
hubcaps.
We had square plates, so they
Ooh.
added the corners
Yeah,
to
you
them,
had corners to that.
and they were monster
Wow,
huge.
You could put a biscuit in that corner.
You put 4 biscuits.
Yeah, 4 biscuits.
But
So you had big square plates.
we had big square plates, and
These were like serving trays.
we use.
Did they
a
have
few of
handles?
them.
Did they have handles on them?
They're platters, serving platters. No, we still use a few of them, and we use them as like the platters that we put out now for like, put your hamburger buns on there or something like that.
Those are the plates you bring to like other people's like food gather. Like that thing we were at. You bring that,
Dude. Seriously,
nice haul.
Yeah, seriously. So we had these big plates in there, and this is something that I read about, and I'm like, told Raven we're going to do this, and we got some of those 6 to 8 inch size plates.
That had to have a different feel to it initially.
Well, it does, but this is the thing. There's a psychological thing that comes into play where when you see this plate is filled more, you feel psychological. I mean, this is like getting into weird brain stuff, but you feel like you're eating more food if your plate is full.
See, I don't know if that would be me. I think I'd be looking at that small plate going,
I'm coming back for another round.
I miss my big square plate.
It's like,
This thing doesn't work.
I got to get up and get more.
Were your kids like, are you serious, Dad?
They were pretty young.
They rolled at the punches? Well, I mean, look at even beverages. You go to the gas station, it's like, they're almost, some of these drink sizes are almost like 5-gallon buckets.
That's Starbucks has a 20-ounce called a Venti.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard of Starbucks, it is a coffee shop. It's a local, just a little
I think
local
they're national.
independent.
Yeah, they're pretty national.
A little independent coffee shop. They've got the Venti. It's 20 ounces.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got something bigger than that?
I get my cold brew. They're like, if you want, you could get the Trenta, which is 30 ounce.
Double.
Cold thing.
Almost double.
Yeah, I mean,
well, no.
50%
more.
So
I thought you said 16 ounce. 30 ounce.
30 ounce. So your cold brew cold foam.
Does your cup holder even hold that?
I don't even
You
know.
have to put it in between your legs.
I will. To my credit, I've never ordered. I'm like, no.
You're like, I'm not that guy.
Listen.
One day.
Just give me 2 of the 20 ounces.
I think I'm going to ask for that next time I'm there. I'll say, what's this Trenta thing? How come that's never been offered to me?
Why have nobody? Yeah. I want. I mean, I assume it's still a thing. But yeah, you can get
maybe they're messing
30
with you.
ounce. I heard about it, but
okay. The big gulp at the gas station is like 64 ounces.
Hey, here's a half gallon of
soda.
Here's a half gallon. Is that? Yeah. It was a half gallon. Yeah. A half gallon
of soda
of high fructose corn syrup. That's it. There's another. We're laying the groundwork for many episodes to come in the future. We're going to talk about high fructose corn syrup.
Well, isn't it something like 90% of our foods have corn in it?
I wouldn't doubt it.
I thought somebody told me
John,
that. And I believe anything anybody tells me.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm thinking about becoming a vegan.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Jeremy, you were just talking about marbled ribeye.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not going to become a vegan. There goes that percentage of our audience.
Did you see they have like these vegan, the Impossible burgers and stuff?
Yeah, which are actually not good for you at all.
Why?
The stuff, a lot of the stuff that they put into these plant-based food alternatives is like garbage. It's
like literally garbage.
Literally, like they just put the grease from the fry. They put it's vegetable oil. Put it in there.
Yeah, throw some paper in there, and
it's amazing to me.
Isn't that something though? Isn't that something how man does that? Always screw stuff up. Stuff that's supposed to be healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, even the word organic is being really loosely used now.
Oh yeah,
it's
for
not
sure.
like
Well, this is something too with meat. We were just talking about I have a dream. To one day own land where I can raise pasture-raised animals. Beef, pork, chickens, like truly pasture-raised meat. So, and this is I'm kind of like a farmer at heart a little bit. We talked about that with growing, getting rid of all my grass in my yard and stuff. But I would like to have like truly pasture-raised meat. And what's interesting is like with meat quality, modern conventional pork, the way that they raise pork nowadays is some of the worst meat for your body. But pasture-raised pork is some of the best meat.
Really?
It's some of the cleanest pasture-raised, like actual pasture-raised, not given all the extra junk and corn and grains and stuff like that, but actual pasture-raised. It just takes longer. This is that Hamon.com. I've never had any of this. I can't afford to, but I don't know if you remember that website that I showed you. It's
oh yeah, wasn't it
Hamon.com.
Like how much was that piece of
one ham?
Yeah,
is like $1,300 from this place, but this is like from in the Iberian Peninsula of España.
What if this is all made up?
The pigs. They just go to you just go to Pick and Save, and they're like, no,
wrap that in foil.
No, we feed them hazelnuts. These are
But how do you know that for sure, though?
I'm sure you can go to the farm and find out, But these are pasture-raised pigs, and then they finish them in the woods on hazelnuts and chestnuts and stuff like that. And so it's like not only is it like just not bad for you. Well, like I was saying, it's some of the healthiest meat that you can buy. The omega-3s.
But why
is
it so much money though? If it's easier to raise them that way, isn't it?
Not you easier.
Why not?
Because you're moving them around. You're worrying about fencing and logistics, and it takes them longer to get to butchering weight. It's not that they're not just stuffing them full of calories.
The farming, the name of the game in in meat production is. Turnover.
Yep, the faster they can do it. So I don't know how many. If it takes it like 2 years for them to get to that weight, or what, I don't know. But the flavor's supposed to be.
Not to gross anybody out, but if on YouTube and stuff, you can find all these videos of like how animals are treated and all that stuff.
Yes.
You and I even watched a couple documentaries together on the
humanely treated.
Yeah, and when animals go through stress, which a lot of them do towards the end of their life because they know what's going to happen. And it's one of those things like if everybody watched that, I'm not saying it would make everybody vegan, nor am I making that case that everybody should be vegan, but it would certainly bring some awareness to where you would want to maybe fight for more ethical raising of animals.
Just humanely raised. You know, like Joel Salatin is one of the farmers that was actually on one of those documentaries, and I knew of him from my permaculture researching days. And this guy is just a farmer who, he's like, I want my pigs to live like pigs. I want my chickens to live like chickens. You know, he wants them to be able to have the behaviors and the life that they
have an enjoyable life.
Yep.
And isn't he the one that said that
one bad day?
The worst day of their life is their last day of their life.
One bad day.
And didn't he have it set up too that when they went to the butcher, he did it where in a way that they didn't really know. Like you go to commercial farms or whatever, the truck pulls up,
they're forcing them on.
And it's like,
and
they know something's up.
Yep. And so they geared everything around these animals being in. I mean, how much does an animal enjoy life? I don't know. I mean, it's hard for us to say as humans, but like for them to enjoy their life as much as they could. He's the farmer that was a Christian, and he made the point that Christians should be the most ecologically and environmentally minded. And like for some reason, and not that we put animals or the environment above humans.
No, that's not what we're saying.
There's an imbalance there. A lot of times there's an imbalance there, but everything to be in its place and right. But the Lord said, we're to be stewards.
Be good stewards of everything I've given you. Yeah.
So anyway, just this farming thing, raising meat to be healthy and stuff, and it's just something that we don't give a lot of thought to sometimes. But that's something, in our food, my wife and I have made an effort to, make certain. We talked about in the other episode, make certain small incremental changes, sustainable changes, where it's like, okay, we're going to purchase things that don't have high fructose corn syrup in them because we know how bad that is for like your liver and your whole body, basically. We're going to try to have foods that have more whole ingredients or make more things at home, instead of buying everything. And so there are good choices that you can make with the foods that you do consume.
Well, the one thing I was going to add to that, though, too, is that, to encourage people to maybe do that, myself included. I yo-yo on things, but I've been there where I've, the one thing I'll say about that is that, yes, it's nice to cut that stuff out for your peace of mind that, hey, I'm not putting that stuff in me, or I'm not consuming that and having that in me. But the other thing, too, to consider, and I can say this from firsthand experience, and I'm sure you can too, Jeremy, you will feel the difference.
Absolutely.
You will definitely feel the difference by cutting these things out. I mean, just sugar. I mean, I got to the point many times, I may have said this when Mo was here talking about her fitness journey or her weight loss journey, but I've gotten to the point where my body, I'm cutting out all those sugars and bad foods, or a good chunk of them, I should say. It's hard to totally do it, but cutting those down drastically and then exercising regularly, my body started to crave crave vegetables, raw vegetables. I was craving that, like I did like I craved cookies and bakery and stuff when I was eating that stuff because that stuff's addictive.
It's amazing how your body will change, or even in the like. I know you said you don't do a lot of weight training or anything like that,
No.
but it's amazing. Like
I know it doesn't look like that, but
you
a lot
know,
of people think I've been. Let's just say I've been accused of being on steroids more than once in my life. We'll leave it at that.
Leave it at that. But like when you're weight training, there's times where you need some meat. Like I need some meat. Because your body just knows like I need some protein.
Yeah.
Or there's been times where I've had this like just unexplainable besides what we're talking about, where your body just kind of gives you those hints. Where I need salt. I need something salty right now. Like I just knew I needed something salty. So maybe I was dehydrated or who knows what. But yeah, it's amazing. So
yeah.
So let's wind it down here.
Yeah.
On this episode, there's a lot of directions I think that we'll go with in the realm of food in the future. But let's, John, I challenge you. I challenge you to a duel on the Iberian Peninsula of Hamon.com. I challenge you. How much do you weigh right now? You know what? Don't guess. We'll weigh.
I think I know because I weighed myself the other day, and I don't think I fluctuated much from that. I'm at 201.
Okay. I don't know how much I weigh exactly. My guess is somewhere.
I can guess. I used to work at a carnival.
John was a.
I'm gonna say.
Guess.
I'm gonna guess that you're at 207.
Oh, I think I'm higher than that.
Really?
I think I'm higher than that. I think.
Oh yeah, the love handles themselves are probably 15 pounds a piece, eh? There's 30. Okay, add 30 to that.
I'm gonna guess.
I'm just teasing.
I'm gonna guess I'm about 215.
Okay.
Right now,
I've been there. I've been to 250, but I'm taller than you too.
Not by much, John.
And I have hair.
I'm average height. Okay.
And I have hair.
Yeah, you do.
You're a better looking guy though. So, no. But 215, I've been there. But
so
you don't like. I wouldn't classify you as being chunky. I classify you as being kind of. Stocky's not a good word.
Oh no, but I'm stocky. I've always been.
Yeah, you're stockier, but
my pants in grade school. You know what size they were? I don't remember the number, but they were husky sized. Do you remember that?
That
back in the 80s.
That was an acceptable term too.
Back in the 80s,
women were described as that. Yeah, she's husky.
That
girl's husky.
Strong stock, corn-fed. I back in the 80s, me and my brother we were whatever size we were. Husky.
Where did that word come from? Husky.
There were husky pencils too. Do you remember that?
No, but I mean, why would you describe somebody as being husky? What does that mean? That's something to look up for next time.
Yeah, husky pencils. Do you remember that in grade school? It wasn't the regular thin pencils, but it was like the fat pencils. Do you remember the fat pencils in school?
Those were called husky.
Husky pencils.
So is that why people are called husky, or were the pencils called husky because of people were husky?
I think it's a third. I think there's a third option out there somewhere. It probably had something to do with.
But I do remember the word husky.
The thickness of like the husk on corn. Yeah. Corn husk. Once you take the husk off, then it's not husky anymore. I don't know. It all comes back to corn. It's the ethanol.
That should be an episode.
Corn. How it affects our lives. I'm Walter Harvey. Walter Harvey? I don't know. Paul Harvey.
How to grow corn.
Walter Harvey. That was Grandpa. Grandpa Harvey was my friend's grandfather that I grew up with. I'm tired, guys. I'm tired. It's bedtime for bonzos right here. So we will challenge ourselves. We'll update you guys.
Well, what weight would you like to be at?
The number on the scale has never really been like a motivating factor
but it's relative to what
it is somewhat, yeah. But I also like I like to weight train, so I wouldn't.
And you like corn,
and I like corn. I wouldn't mind if I hovered somewhere around 200, just because I know that I want to still keep building muscle and stuff.
I'd like to be at 180.
180. When I wrestled in high school, my sophomore year of high school, I weighed 170 pounds. 170 pounds. And I think about that, and I think, how in the world did I weigh 170 pounds?
Dude, you know what I weighed when I graduated high school? 135, dude.
What?
I was I was thin.
Ooh, I weighed
when I-
135 in like fourth grade.
And that's what's weird too is that this another discussion is metabolism, how that comes into play.
Oh, dude.
Dude, when I was a kid, I could eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and I would look like I was dying. My parents actually took me to the doctor to say something's wrong with my kid. He isn't
Like you got a
like
parasite.
I think they actually. This is no joke. I
I
think
thought
they
you had worms or something.
Well, my parents did,
Mhm.
but the doctor was like he prescribed. I believe he prescribed, like give the boy a bowl of ice cream every night. Like seriously, fatten him up.
Eat some food.
But my metabolism caught up with me.
Yeah.
And
I
now when I
never had good
I
metabolism.
always had. So like I said,
Never.
I was super thin in high school,
Yeah.
135,
Dude.
and now look at me, 200.
200.
What happened?
Yep. So we've got some. We gotta figure out a way, John.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's that hard. It's just
I've done
a
it
matter
before.
of consistency.
Yeah,
Well,
it's consistency.
we got to figure out a way that we can still enjoy the foods that we enjoy. Because here's the thing,
Yeah.
and I can attest this, John. When you get on that like running and getting in shape, you get to the point where you're like, I'm cutting that
I
out.
do.
I'm
I'm
not
drastic.
eating that stuff anymore.
I'm not kidding you. I think I told you about this. I got to the point, and I was somewhat joking, but there were moments where I can see where somebody could slide into like anorexia or
oh, sure.
because I've had it where I got so obsessed with it where I'm not kidding you. I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but hey, I'm going to throw it out there. Like I would be so on top of like, okay, cutting back on this, cutting back on that. I'm going to work out. I would grab a handful of trail mix, and then I'd sit there and kind of feel guilty about it. Like seriously, like I wonder how many calories are in that.
I better take those M&Ms out of here.
You know what I'm saying? So that's not a healthy place to be. And
Yeah.
and thank God I've only been there temporarily here. But again, I can see how somebody can fall into that. But yeah, I gotta find the balance.
I've never been at the point where I contemplated eating a handful of trail mix or not. I'm like, yeah. Okay, so that's swinging it a little bit far. I am pretty good. Like, I wanted more pulled pork, like I mentioned earlier at that party on
I
Friday.
like how you say pulled pork.
Pulled pork.
Pulled pork.
Some pulled pork.
You don't even say the end of the word pulled. You say pulled pork. Pulled pork. I think that's how most people say pulled pork.
It was some pulled pork.
Pulled pork.
But I wanted more.
Pulled pork.
But I'm like, pulled. I wanted more pulled pork. But I'm like, Raven, my wife, she's complimented me before because like there's been times where end of the day and I know like, okay, I need to just be done eating for the day. I've filled my
As
quota.
ice cream is dripping down your chin.
Well,
All right,
no.
I'm
Well,
tapping out.
that's what I'm saying no to is like she'll say like, hey, you want some of this? You know, because she's like indulging in something, and
she tempts you?
oh yeah.
Like she can walk
You want
by with
some?
a tray of would you like?
Oh,
one of
there's times when I've been intermittent fasting, doing the fasting, and she's like, you want some of this?
Would she have like a donut tied to
And
a
I'm like,
fishing line? And
No, I'm fasting, and she's like, oh, sorry. It's like,
sure you don't want any
Thanks.
pulled pork.
pulled pork. So,
This is a subject we'll come back to
Oh,
for sure. I mean,
many,
food. We all come on.
many
Everybody
times.
loves food,
Many times.
and there's so many things about food we can talk about in a healthy way.
so
Like some of mine and your favorite pizza. We love pizza.
Pizza.
That's gonna be a fun discussion.
Oh yeah, we could talk a whole episode on pizza.
Could do a whole podcast
Yeah, listener,
series.
we want to encourage and challenge you in life in ways that you can improve yourself. This is not a self-help podcast, as we
No,
talked
let's
about
get that
earlier,
out there.
but we're also just gonna sometimes just talk about stuff that's not gonna help you that much, like pizza.
Well, we believe that you'll find a lot of this stuff relatable,
yeah,
and
Like
this is good
pizza.
therapy for us, Jeremy.
Uh-huh.
Get this off our shoulders.
Dude. All right, so to end the show,
Yeah.
we didn't think about this, but I can tell you right out of the gate, mine. Your favorite food. This is a hard question.
Ooh.
This is a hard
No,
question.
this one's easy for me.
What is your favorite food?
My favorite food?
Yeah.
Hands down is pizza. Love pizza.
Pizza's up there for me, but my favorite food
Pulled pork.
is that ribeye steak we talked about.
Really? You
Dude.
brought this full circle.
Full circle.
Wow. Well done.
Honestly,
Well done.
whoa,
Or should I
no.
say,
medium
rare.
Thanks again for joining us on the Roundabout Podcast. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, that's all we got for today.
That's all we got. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to next time.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Roundabout Podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Also, feel free to join us on the Roundabout Podcast community group on Facebook, where you can ask questions, submit ideas for future episodes, and connect with other listeners. See you next time.